Over the last few months, we've been creating more meta ads than ever before. Absolutely masses of them. And in today's T Talk, I've asked Darren to share some of his secrets. He's going to give us 3 ways to create the perfect meta ad. Let's get into it. Right, Darren, here we are. You're back. You're all branded up.
Yeah. Got to be on brand.
There you are. And we're going to pick your brains on this one. A bit different. So what I want to do is, I've been seeing, every time I walk past you, you've got, well, you're creating ads, all sorts of ads, and we are churning out lots and lots of meta ads now, more than we've ever done before.
Absolutely. I've just come from making some meta ads.
There you go. Lives in a meta ads world. And I think that stems off the back of, we've had, as we've said on 1 or 2 other T Talks and Uncut, is we've had a stellar year. Last 6 months have just gone like gangbusters, which has been really good, very exciting. And we're doing more meta now than we've ever done. And actually, I'll give you a little behind the scenes. So, as we're recording this, in a couple of months, we've got an absolute A player joining us, someone that's coming in to another new member of the Evergreen team who's coming in to actually head up our entire paid social department, which is very exciting.
I can't wait.
And that's going to, I think, as you've said, you guys have been having discussions, and that's going to bring a whole new, different perspective on what we're doing, and just going to enable us to take things to a whole new level. And what we're already doing is really working. So that's just going to be the cherry on the cake. Which is very exciting. So stay tuned for that, and all will be revealed very soon. But we're already doing some really good stuff, and you're already creating a lot of ads for Meta, and they're really working. Some of the results we're seeing is, over the last few months, has been unbelievable. So, creative. That is, Meta is, compared to social, compared to search. Meta is way more creative. Search ads, stuff like that, great. I love a search ad. But with Meta, it's more social, it's more visual, and you're creating all sorts of ads. So give us before we go into the 3 top ways, just give us a flavour of some of the ads you've been creating in the last few days, weeks.
So I also just wanted to premise, actually, because I've just been thinking about when you were talking about our new A player that's coming in. What we're going to be talking about today in terms of meta ads is going to be purely for the content side of it, the creative itself, rather than going into the data of meta and all of that. And when our new person comes in, maybe he can sit here and he can talk about.
He's not shy being on camera. He's not shy being on camera, which is going to be great. He's day one. I'm getting him straight on that seat. Absolutely.
So I'm sure he will have tons of stuff to say. Hopefully he won't disagree with anything I'm going to say today. But,
what's this Darren been doing? All wrong.
Delete that video. So we've been creating tons and tons of meta ads. I've got a whole list of ads that I'm doing this week. And we've been doing a whole range of graphics, motion graphics and video, which is we like to cover all the bases, because I always say that's a really good starting point. That would have been one of my tips, but I think that's such a basic thing.
No.
I think
we want only the good stuff for T Talks.
Everybody needs to make sure they're doing a good range of things. And we're doing a whole range of different ads for different sorts of brands.
Give us some examples. Come on, don't hold off on us.
Hot tub brands, garden appliances. We've got bed linen.
Yes, and these are, if you're curious, you can go and watch Uncut, because we've been and actually done the shoots for some of these, and now you're putting them together.
The plugs in there.
There you go. So you've done some for linen. What else have we done? Hot tubs.
Garden equipment.
Kitchen worktops. Recently. What else?
We've done silk.
Like scrunchies and stuff like that. And that's just in the last week, isn't it? Like, I'm literally thinking that is literally in the last week.
It's what I've been working on this last week.
Really different types of products. Very different price points. Very, very different customer demographics. Who's buying these? Someone who's buying a scrunchie is quite different to someone who's buying, in terms of where they're at, what they're buying versus someone who's buying a kitchen worktop and so on. So very different customers that we're targeting, we're getting in front of, but all where we're creating the ads. So real variety there, and I just wanted to to our viewers get a sense of it's not just one type of ad, but actually
exactly
it's a real mix.
And I think that's one of the things that we gain from that perspective as an agency, is that we don't zeroed in on one target audience, one market. We have a good range of so many different things. And actually, it's one of the key skills that we need in our creative team here is the ability to go between, to be to know that one ad it's not a one fits all situation, that you kind of need to make sure that you understand each individual market. However, that being said, there are a couple of tips.
There better be three.
Well, three.
I've premised this by saying there's three, so if we've got a couple, we're going to be short.
I've only done two.
We're going to be short. Come on, then, kick. So what's the first one? And this is about creating the perfect meta ad.
Yes. So I think one of the most important things to understand is length. Mm-hmm. Size matters, no matter what people say. And I think there's a sweet spot in terms of length of video. And I think you can look this stuff up and Meta themselves will tell you. But I think for anyone who's doing it themselves and maybe don't have a ton of experience in this area, they're not going to know initially what the right length is going to be for your ad. We tend to be in the ballpark of around 15 to 30 seconds on most
Which
of
I think
our
is standard, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's
fairly standard. But I think that's really a safe space. I think that's where you want to go. I tend to go a little bit shorter in that area. We tend to go for around 15 seconds.
Yeah, because 30 seconds feels long.
Yeah, 30 seconds. I don't think we've actually ever hit 30 seconds on the ads that we do.
No.
Sometimes we get around 20, 22, 24 maybe, but never to 30. And similarly, we rarely go under 15. We sometimes go to about 10. But anything less than 10, and I think you're kind of not. You're not giving yourself enough time to say what you need to say. Okay. So I think that's the first top tip.
So 15, 20 seconds.
15, 20 seconds, I think it's good. I think a lot of people will say 15 to 30. I would argue it needs to be a little bit shorter. Sure. So I'd say 15 to 20.
Before we go any further, if you're enjoying today's Tea Talk, you'll love our Grow with Evergreen podcast. Specifically created for home, garden, and lifestyle brands, it's a podcast dedicated to discussing paid media and marketing. Every episode, we're joined by a brand that wants to grow online. We delve into their business, dissect what they're doing, and define a digital growth strategy they can take and deploy into their business. And best of all, you get to listen or watch along, then take those learnings into your own business. Make sure you check it out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But for now, let's get back to today's Tea Talk.
Right, okay, so next.
Number 2, I think going into that timings where we've got that sort of up to 15, 20 seconds, I think what's really important within that timing is to have a hook. Okay. And I think it's really important to get that within the first 5 seconds. You need something that's going to make people either stop scrolling or not click away.
Give us an example or two.
So it could be a visual hook.
Okay.
It might be something that is just very eye-catching, something that's just visually it makes you stop and wonder what it is. Yeah. It might be a messaging hook. Yeah. So you might start with a question on screen, an actual text comes up with a question that's very specific to your target audience, or it might even be, you can get a little bit more sort of clever with it in a sense. Say, for example, if you're doing ads on TikTok, you might want to make it so that your ad looks less polished and more like an organic video. Yeah, sure. And in that sense, I think of it almost like trickery. There have been many times where I'm scrolling on TikTok and I come to an ad and it takes me a good 5 seconds before I even realize it's an ad. Yeah. And this, of course, for me personally, when I see it's an ad because it says ad in the corner, I immediately scroll away because I almost don't like that I've been tricked. I feel hatred. Let's
hope you're not your target customer.
Yeah. But they've got me for that 5 seconds. Yeah. So there's that way as well. I think to tie in with that, I think talking about that messaging as well, I think it's really, really important. This is a bit of a 2-for-1. Yeah. It's really important to have a call to action in there. Okay. I think especially at the end. Yeah. Because I think if you've got that hook at the start and a call to action at the end, and then a bit of nice stuff in the middle, you can keep them there. Then you gain their interest over that period, and then you tell them where to go. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, they fail to do one of those two things. Okay. They fail to get them on board or to get them over the line.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot to do in 15 seconds.
There
is,
is,
think
yeah.
about it.
And actually,
the power of an ad.
It's insane how much you can do in that time.
Yeah.
And actually how long that 15 seconds really is.
But the key thing, and something I've learned from you, is the simplicity is everything in messaging.
Yeah.
Because there is a tendency, because 15 seconds is a long time, and it is, in terms of it, there's a lot that you want to do in there, and so because of that, you think, well, we just need to throw everything in the kitchen sink at it. Lots of visuals, lots of this, lots of messaging, lots of wording, and our clients are, frequently want to just put everything onto an ad. Just put it all in.
Yeah.
We want reviews in there. We want our Trustpilot. We want our this, our Google rating.
We did actually have one of our clients. I won't say who, but. I think she learned, as I did, while we were working on these ads. We were doing a review ad, and there was space for 2.
Okay.
So we put 2 reviews in.
Right.
But then it was just reviews.
Yeah.
There was nothing else but reviews. And then so we sort of came to that conclusion of, just because we can do 2.
Yeah. Less is more, isn't it? Less is more. And I think that's something, again, when I look at a lot of our ads that we've done for, just in recent weeks, it's the simplicity, as you say, there is that clear hook, and then there's often a call to action. It, comes in at that 15 seconds, but it's actually really simple. We're just really trying to get across one message, say one thing, have one.
Absolutely. I think some of my favorite ads that I've done and I've seen other people do are one shot.
Okay.
And it just perfectly encapsulates what you're selling.
Right.
And I think the simpler you can explain that, the better it's going to come across.
Okay.
That would be my personal tip.
Yeah.
But
what's the third thing?
Yes, of course. We've got one more third tip, and that is going to be brand. And
what do you mean?
Think basically, I've seen a lot of ads out there where I couldn't identify who the ad's for.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of people either just not having a good identity through the content that they're doing, in terms of they're not showcasing what they actually do enough.
Right.
Or at the very least, they're just not using sort of brand assets.
Okay.
So they're not using brand colors. They're not using brand logos.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of these don't have call to actions at the end.
Okay.
I've seen plenty of ads. I've seen ads from people that we've spoken to where it essentially looks like a very organic sort of TikTok video.
Right.
And there is no use of a logo. There is no use of brand colors. And these brands have got very consistent guidelines in terms of their colors and logos and all of their assets. And they're not using any of it. And I think so often I see ads that are failing to showcase their own brand. Yeah. And I think that's something that's really powerful.
I can sort of, when you're saying that, you've just reminded me of when I think, because I get so used to seeing the ads that we do, but actually if I take a step back and think about what you've actually done, it's really clever, and it ties into that exact point. Is one thing I've consistently seen you do is go, well, we've got the product, or we've got the lifestyle shot, or we've got the imagery, whether it's a product or service or whatever it is. But one thing you've done, actually, when I think about all the ads we've done over recent months, is you make a point of having the brand colours very prominently alongside the moving imagery, the still imagery, the videos, whatever it might be. But it's very punchy and it's very noticeable, and it's consistent in different ways, but it's consistent across all of that. Simple but very effective.
That's it.
And it, as you say, it makes it so that visually you go, oh, that's an ad from so and so. Rather than it be, okay, here's some video footage, some drone footage, some moving image, still image. But in theory, you could take that and put it underneath any brand of your competitors, and it could arguably be passed for them as well. But actually, there's so many examples where you've done that, where you've gone, it looks good, but you could essentially take your logo off, put anyone's logo there, and no one would know it's not yours. Whereas now with our ads, you absolutely cannot do that, because there is these, in some cases, bold colours, in some cases, very clear and certain types of fonts and so on, that gives it instantly, that's recognisable.
Well, that's the thing. So many of the brands that we work with have extensive brand guidelines. And yet there are brands out there who are the same, and they're just not using any of it. And it's crazy to us. I mean, we have been to certain brands where we've gone and spoke to people, and we've noticed assets that they have in their office that they've not used anywhere else.
Yeah, missing a trick.
And it's just you've spent a lot of time and money on making this iconic, noticeable, recognizable brand assets.
Yeah.
Use it in your ads.
And that's the point, because we have had, on the flip side, we have had some brands and some small businesses that have come to us where they haven't had their brand guidelines and they haven't had a visual identity and they haven't maybe been doing video, or they haven't been doing, nice looking, nice ads. And so as part of what we've done is we will create, as part of what I've seen you do, and there's a couple of clients that come to mind very recently that we've won, very local to here, where you've not only created their ads for them and gone, we're going to do video for the first time, we're going to do this, but what you've done is you've interwoven a brand identity, pulling on bits that maybe they've got in their showrooms, in their stores, to almost create their brand identity for them in collaboration with them, to now go, here's the core of the video or whatever we're going to create, but around that we're going to encompass this brand identity, and then going forward that's what we're going to now use.
I mean, to use an example of what I'm talking about here, it's the classic Apple ad. You don't need to see an Apple logo on those ads to know it's an Apple ad.
Yeah, sure.
Because the identity of the ad, the style, the theming is so very Apple.
Yeah.
You just know it's them right from the get-go.
Yeah, and on a much smaller, but a smaller basis. But that is the process we're trying to take. And I think, there's yet another little reason why, if you need someone to run your ads, come to us and we'll look after your ads and your creative, because you get not only we can create the ads, but if you need a little bit of, little brand cuddle, little brand consistency cuddle, we can give you that to just sort of make sure that we've got that consistency, because it does make all the difference, doesn't it?
It does, and I think one of the things that we benefit from is, because we're working across so many different brands, it becomes very clear to me how I need to differentiate them.
Okay.
Because it could be very easy for me to just do a copy and paste approach across everyone, where they all basically look the same for different products.
Right.
But because I'm working on different brands with different people, with different styles, that's why these points, particularly the brand one, becomes very clear to me that we need to use this to differentiate them, to give them their own personal identities. Yeah. But when people are working on their own ads, where they're working on only their one brand, I can see where it becomes something that they don't think about.
You don't look outside of your own four walls, and that is so often the case. And one of the clients that I know you did a lot of work for over the summer, who's mainly for their autumn ads, which have been live. I don't know if you know this, but their ads. So you worked on this particular client over the summer to prep all that, and you went out and did 3 or 4 shoots in the end, 2 or 3 shoots. We did a couple of shoots. You then created all of their autumn ads. I spoke to that client last week. And so far we took a snapshot of their first 6 weeks of their autumn period being running, and their Meta ads report their best ever performance. I don't know if you knew that, if I'd relayed that, but they've had honestly their cost per acquisition, and I told them this and they were delighted, because they'd said we had a catch up, and the team we were all had a conversation, and they said just want to say that this last month, a couple of months, has been stellar. We've had really good numbers, etc. Leads in, we're really happy. And then the team were able to go back and say, well, actually, we're glad you're seeing that on the front line, because this is what our data's telling us in terms of Meta, and the CPA, the cost per acquisition, has tumbled massively. We're getting far better engagement, better reach, more leads coming in. And I said to them, we said to them on the call, we said, because they were like, well, what's driving this? Like, how do we double down? And we said, the biggest thing that's changed in the last 6 months is the creative. Is we've done the brand consistency. In this particular brand we're thinking of, it's very clear now with the colours we're using, it is their brand.
And I was just going to say,
very
what
clear.
You just said there is really confirmed in my mind who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that brand specifically was one of the things with the colour.
Yes.
Was that was in their guidelines, but they just weren't using it.
It's quite a punchy colour.
It's a very punchy colour. And as soon as I saw that was an option,
bang, straight in.
We have to use
and visually, you're not missing it. Now you go, oh, okay, and it's very recognisable. And then you've woven that across all of their ads, and then couple in with the seasonality, and and those ads, they're running at 12, 15, 18 second ads. They've all got a really, really strong hook. For these ads, you're actually using messaging from the very end, the first 5 seconds.
It is. It's got an immediate question.
Immediate question using it, and this is what I'm just
directed towards their exact audience
at the exact time of the year when we know they've got the pain point that they've got. So we're tapping in. So instantly, when you're scrolling, you go, "Yes, that is me. Yes, I can relate to that." We've then visually you show this is what you could have basically, and then there's a very strong call to action, and then with the sequencing, with the funnel of ads we've created, you've got different messaging based on how they interact and what they do and where they are in the funnel of becoming a aware versus inquiry, lead, and so on through that journey. And we've just got that creativity stamped across every touch point, and then it goes across into the website and so on and so forth. So there's kind of a real life example of how it can really,
those 3 points.
Yeah, how it can really work together.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I love it. I just think what we're doing creatively is just so exciting. And I say when we bring in this next A player into the team, they have got a name. They're not just called A player. Imagine if they joined and I said, "Here is A player,
Mr. Player, first name A."
They have actually got a real name, and all will be revealed in January. And that I think when they come in, I'm just going to put you guys in a room and just be like, ta-da, and then just watch what you do. So exciting. Anyway, amazing. Right, we need to get going. So thank you so much for joining us in this T Talk. See you on the next one. Take care.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, well, on the left side of the screen, you'll find a video that YouTube has hand-picked just for you. On the right, you'll find our latest video hot off the press. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and hit that notification button.